Ladies and gentlemen, SideStrafe here with another episode of the Strafing Run. And I remember I used to say designed to keep you up to date on a fairly regular basis. Actually, it was designed to keep you up to date on a regular basis. Then I wasn't doing them so regularly, and then it was fairly regular, and then that kind of dropped, and then it just became designed basis something. Anyways, all kidding aside, yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the Strafing Run, to be honest. I think one of the things that I liked about doing the DayZ videos more recently with Elbrook Souffle and Bombadil was that we could kind of just sit around, play the game, and chit-chat about game development and things. And it just ended up almost being like a talk show while playing a game. And, you know, I might kind of reformulate the Strafing Run. I might even considering you know, bringing other people on and maybe just doing it live on the live stream and having an archive available for people to watch. That might be a bit more entertaining, I think. That way the community can interact a little bit more in the chat, perhaps. You know, sometimes that can get out of control depending on how popular the stream is, so, you know, who knows. But that might be an idea, because I know a lot of people liked the DayZ videos, not necessarily because they were action-packed, obviously they weren't. It was more so just because of the conversation. And that's a lot more than can be said for half of the DayZ videos that were out there, which were very entertaining in many cases, but just didn't offer anything new or unique. And while I think some of our vids were kind of boring to look at, it was the conversation between all of us that really made it something special. And I think that if I could bring that into a Strafing Run format, then that might be a bit more interesting. So there's that. But in current news, this week I'm going to be out of town for a few days, heading back up north to Canada, visit my brother and family, whatever, as I was born in Canada. For those of you that don't know, I have dual citizenship between the United States and Canada. I live in the US currently, but I like to visit once in a while, so there won't be any content this week. I really just couldn't get any footage of anything that I found satisfactory. You know, damn my standards. You know, just sometimes I have something that probably to anybody else would be amazing, but to me, just, you know, I just don't get the footage that I want, or I don't get a good live Let's Play that I feel is deserving of upload. And sometimes I just, you know, I have to scrap a project, so that's just kind of the way it is, unfortunately. I'm way too picky. Maybe I should tone that down a bit, I don't know, but I guess if I did, then I wouldn't have entertainment with standards. But anyway, so yeah, I'll jump back on content as soon as I return. It's just been really hard lately, just preparing for everything. There's a couple of games I need to look at. A lot of titles that I'm playing now. I think I'm going to segue into that and some things that I'm looking forward to. So, lately it's just been World of Tanks and War Thunder Ground Forces. Trying to utilize that press account I've got with World of Tanks. You know, do reviews or first impressions of premiums. That's kind of what I'm working on now. Or will be when I get back, at least a little bit more. I did the Type 3 Chinukai for the Japanese. It's a premium tank. If you haven't seen it, it will be on the channel, of course. And they're going to be basically 3 live matches back to back. So I hit record and I do live commentary and play 3 matches, no editing. That way you know that I'm not just picking and choosing great matches. For example, my last video I had an awesome match. Then I had a kind of mediocre match, and then I had a really bad match, I think. Yeah, well, maybe the last 2 matches were bad in the last video, but you know, that's just the way to show, I think, the natural performance of the vehicle, you know, without only just showing you awesome replays. A lot of YouTubers, let's face it, let's be honest here, no offense to anybody, but a lot of YouTubers tend to do post commentary where they take the best matches they had with that tank and they show it off like that, and then it makes you want to buy it. Like, oh man, he did amazing in that tank. It's like, well, maybe he got lucky. Maybe I get lucky in some of these games. Obviously, I do once in a while, but it just doesn't always show you what the tank is capable of if you just always see it in a winning situation. You need to see it in a tough game sometimes. You need to see it in a loss even. You know, how good can you do with it in a variety of situations. So there is all of that. But, you know, really, I just want to make sure that if you're putting your money down on a premium, that it's well worth it. So that's the whole point of doing live fire looks at these tanks. And I think that's what I'm going to kind of title them, live fire look. So it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. So it'll be like live fire look and then name of the tank. And that'll be for World of Tanks and War Thunder and really any game that I choose to do first impressions or reviews of in regards to a vehicle or a weapon or something. But beyond that, War Thunder Ground Forces, of course, just keeping an eye on it. Gaijin, I'm not sure they really know what they're doing most of the time. There's been some fire over the battle rating system currently. I know with the Air Forces, things have just been in chaos, and I don't know if they're going back on it and trying to fix what they set out to do, or if it's still a mess. Obviously, they're also changing simulator battles, so simulator battles are always going to be mixed mode, which means it's always going to be planes and tanks. It's never just going to be one thing. So pilots will never have the ability to load up simulator, queue up, and get into a planes versus plane conflict unless they go into an event mode. So I don't know how a lot of people feel about that, but I think that's something that changes on the 16th of this month. So we'll keep an eye on that. And it could be interesting. I don't necessarily have any problems with planes and tanks fighting together, as long as you have some air cover and maybe some AAA on the ground to help you out. Otherwise, sometimes, let's face it, not just sometimes, but most of the time, you get bombed by something that can take you out. It's frustrating, you know, if you just can't get your gun, you know, skyward, and you're just, you know, driving around thinking you're going to flank the enemy, and boop, there's a bomb. So it's rough, but that's why you need to make sure you coordinate with your team and hopefully have some AAA, or at least, you know, some pilots in the sky that know what they're doing. But I got some good pilot friends, I think. Good old Bismarck, hopefully, if he can tag along. The only downside, of course, the guy is in Korea currently, so it's really rough matching up our schedules. Otherwise, I'd obviously love to have more videos with him involved. But anyway, so yeah, there's that. World of Tanks, War Thunder. Honestly, man, I've been loving my Mario Kart 8. I bought a Wii U recently. It was a system I thought I really would never touch. I always told my friend that had a Wii U, you know, I was like, look, it's just not the system for me. There's just not enough titles on it that really interest me. And Nintendo really only exists because they have awesome first-party titles. Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Star Fox, all those things, Donkey Kong. I mean, all those titles, those are what that's what carries Nintendo. Now, ideally, it would be cool, I think, if Nintendo kind of went the way of Sega and just made software for multi-platform use. I mean, imagine having these games on PC and everything as well. That would be my dream. However, I will tell you that I don't regret for any minute buying a Wii U. Mario Kart 8 is amazing. The Super Mario 3D World is amazing. I never got a chance to play Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and now they have the HD version, which seems to be also amazing. I live streamed it for a little bit the other day. I think I might actually try to finish the campaign on a live stream because a lot of people loved watching that, so that might be a thing. Stay tuned for that. But it would be a blind playthrough, and I would have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, so it'll be funny and sad at the same time. Hopefully mostly just funny, but a lot of people had a good time watching that. I also streamed some Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 is amazing. You know, if there's one thing, Nintendo might not be perfect. They make some mistakes and everything, but I think that when they release a game, it's polished. It works. It does what it's supposed to do. It's balanced. Mario Kart 8 is so polished. I think it's 720p upscaled to 1080, but it runs at a solid like 59 to 60 frames per second. It's fast. It still looks great. And it's just the gameplay, the karts and the characters and everything's just so balanced. And it's just a beautiful, great, fun game. The multiplayer works pretty good. Sometimes there's a couple internet hiccups, but it's just so much fun. I've had a blast just, you know, me and my friends just killing each other on the tracks and just having fun racing and drifting and gliding through the sky. It's just, oh, if you have a Wii U and you don't have Mario Kart 8, you are insane. You are just insane. And if you're thinking about it, then it has a 100% SideStrafe seal of approval. Mario Kart 8 is a blast. It's probably, quickly become one of my favorites. And I've always loved Kart, and I knew that if there was one game that would make me buy that system, it would be that one. So there's that recommendation there. That's one thing that I've been playing a lot of. So yeah, I want to play more of that. Might do some more live streaming of that just because it's a lot of fun. I've gotten a little bit better at it. And let's see what else. Company of Heroes is actually bringing out another expansion. I think they're bringing in the Western factions again, or the Western Front. So we're going to see the Americans make a return to Company of Heroes 2. And then another German faction is going to show up. I think it's a $20 DLC if you want both factions. Maybe it's 10 if you just want the one, because there's 2 factions, and I think it's 20 for the whole shebang. And then if you just want to get maybe just the Americans, then it might be less. I'm guessing maybe just 10. I don't think Steam had the pricing available at the moment, but I'm assuming if the main DLC is 20, then they would just have it. But I do want to take a look at that. I used to love Company of Heroes 1. For some reason, 2, while I enjoyed it in the beginning a little bit, I just felt like it was off in some respects. I hate to say this, but I really felt like in the beginning the balance was just wrong. I just felt like everybody was steamrolling with the Russian team, and I never had that problem in Company of Heroes 1. So I think there was just something about how and it's funny because, you know, finally we have a game with Russians in it that's not actually developed by Russians. You know, it's a Canadian developer, actually. And, yeah, so, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I didn't play a whole heck of a lot. And I'm not always that great at strategy games. I just enjoy them. But I do want to take a look at the Western Front missions. And I know some of you are thinking, well, what about Men of War? You know, that's out and everything and being improved over time. I still want to play more of that, but it's just really hard to juggle all these games. There's so many titles out there, so many things that I'm interested in. And I bounce from one game to the next, kind of like a pinball machine, and sometimes just something else catches my attention, which is what's made it really difficult to run a YouTube channel, because a lot of channels, I think the most successful channels are usually ones that focus on a game or two. And when you run a variety channel, if you weren't around in the original, like, early days of YouTube, if you weren't lucky enough to make a channel back then and you make a channel today or even just a few years ago, it's hard to catch up to those other people, whether they're talented or not, or good at anything or not. It's just sometimes if you were there first, you win. And in this case, when you're running a variety channel, which I had decided to do from the beginning, to just have a, you know, whatever game I'm interested in, it's tough because you get subscribers for different games. So I probably have the most World of Tanks subscribers. Then the rest maybe are from DayZ. Maybe there's some Airsofters left over. Maybe there's some, you know, Battlefield fans left over that just haven't bothered to unsub. You know, I'm sure I've lost thousands of people over the years just because I've stopped playing something. But my favorite type of subscriber and viewer is that of, you know, that type of person that will show up and be here more so for what I have to say, or be here for me instead of just the game. And I like when people say, oh, you know, I don't care what you play, just you know, just make sure your commentary's up to snuff. And you know, that's cool because I can really just enjoy video games like I do. I mean, that's who I am. I'm the guy that, you know, over the years with my local friends, oh, check this game out. Oh, check this game out. They'd be like, well, you just got us into this game and we haven't finished it yet. Yeah, I know. It's like, and so then over the years I learned to be like, okay, I'm just going to tell you that I am playing this game. I'm not going to force any of you to buy it, but I am playing it. I do like it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to make you buy it. I'm just putting that out there. And you know, I've had friends upset at me for just jumping into different games often, but now I just put, you know, disclaimers on everything. Like, look, you know, I play tons of games, and I know people out there that are even worse than me. I think even good buddy Bombadil, you know, who many of you know from videos and Mech Warrior and stuff. He's almost the same, and if not actually worse than me. I mean, he just jumps from every single game, you know, that you can think of, and he's got tons of interest. Like, you know, I play fantasy games, I play, you know, science fiction, I play strategy, racing, shooters, first person and third person, and simulators, and, you know, I love realism, but I can also get into something arcadey. I grew up with, you know, Wolfenstein and Doom and Quake and Unreal Tournament. you know, I can still enjoy that. You know, I'm not just the realism guy. So a lot of people, like, I would tweet about how Mario Kart 8's amazing, and a bunch of people would retweet like, oh, you know, it's not very realistic, is it? Like, no frack, it's not realistic. It's frackin' Mario Kart, you know? You almost want to, instead of saying grow up, grow down and just enjoy the game. Just have fun with the game, you know? It doesn't have to always be realism. This isn't the realism channel. It's just a channel that happens to focus on a lot of kind of World War II military realistic things, you know? Yeah, it's just, sure, I'd love to be sitting around playing Arma all day long, but I can't because it doesn't do what I want it to do. I love the gameplay at the core, but I don't necessarily like how difficult it is to get a match between two teams. And, I don't want to have to deal with mods every single day. I just kind of want a game that I paid for to provide some excellent multiplayer. And sometimes I just don't have as much time as a lot of you guys do. You know, I got to talk with developers every week and try to review things or get in touch with people. I'm also trying to do more voiceover work. I did 4 unit voices for Warlock 2. I don't know how many of you play that game, you know, but I love doing voiceovers. I love creating accents, and I like, you know, researching that type of thing, and I like to have fun with it, and I want to do more of that. You know, I'm not saying that I would switch my career over to that. There's actually not that much money in voiceover work unless you're one of, like, the Hollywood big shots. Really, it's hard to get work in that field, but you know, I want to make more of a portfolio. I want to do more of that. I want to get more in touch with devs in regards to that kind of thing. I just love it. I think that having your voice in a video game is fantastic. It's just a blast. It's not even really about the money. It's more so just, wow, your voice is in a video game, and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people walk by and they talk to this person or see a cut scene, and there's your voice. That to me is awesome. So I want more of that. But you know, so I'm trying to get that. So I don't have as much time, and I end up splitting my time between all these games. So I'm never going to be amazing at one game. That's why I'm pretty much mediocre. I never laid claim or ever said that I was the best at any game. I feel that I'm pretty good at tank games, but I'm never going to say I'm the best at anything. And if you're subscribing to my channel because you want to see the best of the best, then that might not be the greatest reason. I would say hopefully you're just here to you know, to watch or hear me critique games on a regular basis, because that's typically what I pride myself on, is my ability to have an open mind and to be able to critique a title where other people perhaps fail. To use what I've learned over the years, whether it's in just playing games or going to art school for a little bit, or from what I've learned from developers that I talk to. I am friends with devs. I get to hear their opinions on things and see what they go through on a daily basis. It's nice to know how their lives are affected by people's feedback, and so therefore I take what, you know, they've told me, and I try to put it into my critiques a little bit. But so hopefully you're here for that level of expertise and not just to see somebody pwn noobs, I guess. I don't know. But so there's that. Maybe going a little off topic, but that's that. I guess we can probably go back into, you know, what other games I'm playing or looking forward to. So Men of War, it's not off the list, but I meant to actually live stream it, and it just never really happened either. But really great game, hard game, realistic game. Continues to improve, I think. And I do want to play more of it, as well as Company of Heroes. It's going to be tough balancing those, but yeah, just always keeping my eye out on shooters, and I haven't really had a good first-person shooter to play ever since Battlefield 4 just kind of let me down. I know they're making improvements. I know the game's starting to perform a lot better. My friend tells me they've worked on the netcode, but I just don't like what's happened with the balancing. I think the engineer is just all over the place, and they can do everything. Snipers, it's between pretty much snipers and engineers as being the most played classes. What reason is there to really be any other class than engineer? Engineer can do everything. They can kill people long range, infantry. They can kill vehicles. They can kill ground, land, sea, and air. I mean, they can do everything. Whereas in the old Battlefield games, you know, there was more classes. There was a specific anti-tank class who only had, I believe, a submachine gun, no, wait, there was an engineer class. I think he only had a shotgun, and you know, there was these things that made him limited. You know, it's like, okay, if you're going to be this engineer, you can take out vehicles, but you're not so great against infantry. There was some sort of balance, but now that's gone, and by making only 4 classes, they've just kind of put everything into one, and it's hard for that to work, because engineers everywhere, and lock on. You get in a tank, beep, 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 beep. You know, you're in a jet, beep, 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 beep. Hell, same thing. You're just beep, beep, motherfracking beep. That's all it is. You can't fly, and the maps aren't as big as they used to be in some cases, and it's just, it's not Battlefield anymore. It's something else. You know, it's not COD, but it's not Battlefield either, and that's kind of sad. However, I'm waiting for Star Wars Battlefront. I'm hoping that because it's going to be sci-fi and Star Wars that I just won't care as much. That I'm just going to be like, oh, I get to be a stormtrooper, and it's going to be okay if I miss because, well, stormtroopers have bad aim. So it's going to be like, oh, well, SideStrafe, you killed way too many people that match. You're a horrible stormtrooper. I was like, all right, I got to tone it down. All right, I got to miss more often. So that way it's like, I think I'll be pretty good then as a stormtrooper, because be like, dude, this guy, best stormtrooper on the net, man. He freaking misses every shot he takes. What? Every shot? Oh, I don't know, dude. I saw him hit one guy. I think it was, yeah, but that was just a mistake. He accidentally hit that guy that one match, you know? So then I can be a stormtrooper finally, and it'll be okay because I'll miss every shot anyway, and then you'll expect that of me. So if I actually hit things, then there's a problem. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to that, because let's face it, I don't know how you can mess that game up. You know, I won't expect it to be realistic because it's Star Wars, it's science fiction. Stormtroopers, Rebel Alliance, freaking AT-AT walkers and speeder bikes and Frostbite engine, blasters and freaking all kinds of craziness. The Lucas sound library mixed with the Frostbite engine sound engine or whatever it is. Oh my, because Battlefield already has some of the best sound effects on the planet, all right? I'll give them that for sure. Now imagine Star Wars sounds in that game. Oh man, I'm excited now just thinking about it. It's gonna sound amazing, and I don't know how they would. I don't know how they can make a mess of this. I just don't know. But they've got a long time to develop, because as far as I know, this game cannot come out until the first movie comes out or something like that, or it can't come out until the movie's ready or something. That's part of the agreement, which means they have tons of time to work on it. So it's not one of those things where like EA can be like, oh, let's get it out now. They can't, because legally they have to wait until the movie comes out. That's the rule. So therefore, if they're working on it since they announced it, that's plenty of time, I would hope, unless something has changed that I don't know about. That's plenty of time. And hey, you know, we used to have to wait 4 years for a good game. Now it's like, oh, next game will be out in a year. And by that, it pretty much means the year that it's first out is basically a beta, a paid beta. So here's hoping that's amazing. I totally want to be a stormtrooper in Battlefront. I don't know why I like stormtroopers. I just always have. It's just this weird thing. Star Wars Republic Commando was an amazing game. Unfortunately, cliffhanger, never got a sequel, but fantastic title. And so yeah, I always loved playing the Jedi Knight games as well. Those were great. Beyond that, I think that MMOs have become a part of my life again. I obviously took a look at ArcAge, and we'll still continue to take a look at that. I think there's some potential, but you know, it has that typical Korean MMO feel, and there's just something about those games that I just have a tough time getting into. I think the one that captured me the most was Terra Online, but beyond that, there's just something about it. It's not the aesthetic. The graphics are usually nice. In fact, they usually have some of the best player models ever, and really cool armor and all that too. But I don't know, ArcAge, there's something about it that just seems off. And the other issue is that when you're dealing with a game that's being localized for the West, you don't get much say, because the game is already out in Korea or whatever other country, and so that means it's already built, it's done, and it's the way it's going to be. And generally, the Western version doesn't change that much, and the localizing team, in this case Tryon Worlds, doesn't have much say in that. There's only so much that they're allowed to do, even though they said we're going to try to make it more of a Western game. Well, the people behind Terra Online said that too, and that didn't really happen. I mean, it was just saturated with quests, and that was their way of saying, oh, it's a game for the West. Well, quests don't make the game, you know. Just because it was a different type of grind didn't mean that it was something more appealing to the rest of us. I don't know, but it does seem to be something that most of you are interested in, and maybe I'll live stream it instead of making videos about it. I probably actually won't make any more videos about it. I'll just use it as a live stream game while I can. It is going to be a free-to-play anyway, so it's not like it's going to be difficult to maintain. WildStar, on the other hand, you know, there's something about it that just lures me into it, and I don't know if it's just the aesthetic. I think there's something about the world that captures you. Like, if you look at Arcade, you go into the world and you're like, oh, I'm in a forest. Yay. Like, that's the thing about fantasy games is, okay, we've been there, done that. All right, a forest? All right, well, you're going to have to spruce that bad boy up a bit before you make me want to go through it. And, you know, even World of Warcraft has a way of making things just feel unique and interesting and beautiful and high fantasy. You know, of course, they have their more common, like, Elwyn forest, human type areas, but even that has a certain level of charm because you know everything that happened there. If you know the history, it means a lot more to you. But with Arcade, you jump in there, and a lot of other MMOs are like, it's just a traditional forest, and there's just nothing like, oh, look at that. You know, there's nothing that, not in, at least in the area that I've seen, that really makes me say, ooh, ah, you know. And with WildStar, the second you get off of the tutorial ship, you start to go, ooh, ah, because there's just great ambience and effects and weather and day-night and just beautiful scenery. Even though I think in some cases I would love a larger draw distance, it's just the textures are so high resolution and so colorful and vibrant and beautiful. You're just brought into this world. You just melt into the environment, and it's just fun. And some of the animations you know start to grow on you. There's some that I think are kind of meh, but it works with that cartoony style. And I think the gameplay, the combat where you have to aim everything, and the telegraphing and the limited action set, and the fact that it just seems like a game has been built where they took the best components from every MMO, Guild Wars, WoW, all these MMO, all these great MMO, they took all the good ideas, rolled them into one game, and I feel like that's what this title is. Now, I know a lot of people aren't in the WildStar. They look at it like, oh, it's just another game, it's just WoW in space, whatever. You know, fine, to each their own. I know some people also think that it's ridiculously hard at later levels, to the point where it's just unnecessarily difficult. I don't have any opinions on that because I haven't gotten far at all in the game, but I'm pretty sure that that's what most people wanted it to be, so I can't necessarily fault the game for that, because from what I've read, people complained about WoW even getting dumbed down over time or simplified, and I don't think that that's the case. I think that WoW has improved in many respects over the years. Not every area. Obviously, I think that there's some mistakes that they've made with that game. I think that there's some things that they've just flat out ruined. But I think in general, when it comes to using abilities and whatnot with their next expansion, they're looking at toning down the amount of buttons you have. Because let's face it, there are some things that are just overkill and redundant. You know, you have one spell that does this, and then you have another spell that does a slightly better job at doing the last thing, and it's just, why do I have to have 20 buttons on this list? Why do I have to fill up my entire keyboard, you know, to do this, when you know that most people are just doing the same rotation over and over again? You go to a website, oh, you should be doing this rotation. Well, that rotation has like 5 abilities in it. Why do I have 20 sitting on my bar? What's the point of these other 20 things if you just tell me to use the same 5 or 6 abilities, you know? So I think that we want to think that more is better, but sometimes it's not. And it's just something that you have to just really think about a little bit. But, you know, I think I like limited action set. I like how Guild Wars works, you know, in that respect. I like how Diablo does it as well. And I like how WildStar is doing it. I like the fact that you have to aim your shots with everything that you do. You know, I just enjoy the aesthetic and the sounds and the voice acting and all that stuff, and I think that it could be interesting. So I like the fact that there is a clear good guy versus bad guy, and in World of Warcraft it's kind of like, well, the Horde's kind of the bad guy, but they're kind of, you know, I mean, you can get in, I know a lot about WoW lore, and, you know, obviously the Alliance is always going to blame, you know, the Horde for things and all that. There's always going to be that animosity there, but there was never any clear definition of, you know, okay, here's the real bad faction. No, it was never like that. In this game, Dominion as much as maybe you could try to, you know, overanalyze and say, well, you know, the universe, you know, this planet is rightfully theirs. They inherited it. This whatever. They're pretty much the bad guy. You know, you got to look at it like that. However, they're kind of cool too, which is why I was playing Dominion, and I like that there's actually like, yeah, if you pick this faction, you're pretty much the bad guys. And I'm not the kind of guy that plays a faction because I want to be the bad guys. No. I actually hate when people do that. That's why a lot of people jumped on Horde in the early days. They're like, oh, I want to be the bad guys. Yeah, it's cool to be bad. You know, that's not me at all. For me, picking Dominion was mostly aesthetics. It was like, okay, well, these guys, I like this kind of Imperial look. I just got done talking to you about how I love Stormtroopers. Well, it's that kind of Dominion Imperial kind of intimidating look that they have. You know, they all have English accents, and it's just kind of, I don't know, there's just something, I like the style, I like the way their armor looks, I like the way their vehicles looks, and their home cities and things like that. It was more of an aesthetic choice versus kind of a lore choice or anything like that, or me wanting to be the bad, because usually I play the good guys. When I played WoW, it was always Alliance, so it just depends on, you know, how that works, I guess. But anyways, might try some exiled characters, you never know, but having fun with Dominion. I just like the way they roll, and it's just something different for me, I think, because I'm usually the good guys in most games. But anyways, so yeah, just kind of enjoying that a little bit. Again, I'm not really that far. My main guy's only like 10 or 11, I think, so I haven't played too much, but I live streamed a little bit. So there's that. And beyond MMOs, I don't know what else. I mean, there's Destiny, but that's going to be console only. I wish it was going to be on PC, because man, do I love Bungie's aesthetic. I love their art style. I love the way they do armor and things like that. But I'll probably still end up with it on PlayStation 4. It's just, I hate using guns with a controller. I hate shooters on console just because I can't use that controller to aim, and I'm just terrible at it. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's going to be it for this episode of the Strafing Run. I'm sure that I've got a whole lot more that I could talk about, but I'm just running out of time. I would appreciate if you'd follow me on twitch.tv and Twitter, at least. That way, when I experiment with a live edition of the Strafing Run, you can be there and partake in the chat. We'll see how that goes, see if it becomes a permanent thing. But with that said, again, just a reminder, there won't be any more content this week. And I'm sure that the YouTube channel has plenty of videos that you could catch up on that I'm sure YouTube hasn't sent to your sub box. So please do me another favor and search my playlists. If you're a World of Tanks fan, go through the World of Tanks playlist and look at the videos there. I'm sure you've missed something over the years. You know, same for any other game that's on the channel. Just go to the main channel page, youtube.com/SideStrafe, and just see what's there. You might have missed something. As the old NBC saying used to go, I think, if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. I think it was NBC, but it makes a lot of sense. And so with that said, ladies and gents, as always, thank you so very much for joining me. Always appreciate it, and I will definitely see you on the next one.